Hello, everyone, and welcome to our webinar today. I hope everyone is hearing me well. If you're not, I hope you can tell me so I know that I will adjust the sound. Today, we're going to talk about, as I said, about Asset Manager and how you can manage your information in the building process in Asset Manager. For those that haven't been working with BIMeye before, I'm going to have a short introduction of how BIMeye works, about the functionalities, and also about the user interface. So let's get started. So BIMeye is a database. For you guys to start working with BIMeye, you should have a web browser. So that's the only thing you need to get started to work with BIMeye. And as you see in this picture, we have BIMeye in the middle of the building process. And I would say that BIMeye is a CDE in programming language. That means common data environment. So it's a central placeholder for all information throughout the building process. That's why we have the cloud-based service in the middle right now, as you see in this picture. So we start by the idea phase. In the idea phase, we usually work a lot with the requirements of a building. So the requirements for different rooms. In the traditional way, when we work with requirements, it involves usually with a lot of paperwork that we set up the requirements and we send the requirements to our designers so they can fulfill their designing with those requirements that we have set up. But by using BIMeye, we exclude that document handling. So we will set up all our requirements in BIMeye, and then we can delegate those requirements to different designers. So they can immediately, from the model, take advantage of the requirements that we have set up and start designing. And we have seen that that creates a lot of efficiency by working it that way. And we can exclude all the documents that comes along with the requirement work. As we go further, we will come to the design phase. And in the design phase, we will add a lot of objects in our model. So it can be objects, door objects, it will be maybe interiors, it will be a lot of objects that we're going to build up in the model. So by using BIMeye, you can extract information from the model and synchronize it up to BIMeye. And that makes also the work easy because you can always work in one place that you know that the information is correct. And in the design phase, we have a lot of examples of how they are using BIMeye for making their work more efficient. I will take an example for you guys. I would say one of the topics that we all are aware of is Slussen that they are working with right now. And in Slussen, there are a lot of consultants that are involved in this process, and they have to add information to this process, and they have to also take advantage they have to take advantage of a lot of information that are built up in this process. So in Slussen, they use BIMeye as a data management platform. Um, and so what they basically do there, now let's say that they are on the foundation process, and that they use the asset management app for that process. So they are using the objects piles, they are using Brace, so they are using also the sheet piles. So what they do that they will extract they will, well, of course, start by modeling their BIM model in their design tools, and they will extract, let's say, maybe 20 parameters. This is an example. They will extract the information from the models and send it up to BIMeye. And in BIMeye, they will approximately say 80 to 100 parameters will be added in BIMeye, and they have to have been detailed information about these parameters that are connected to the piles and braces and the sheet piles. So they have to fill in a lot of information, because this information is going to go password to the production site, so they can take advantage of that information to make their work more efficient. So by connecting the model with the asset management and handling the information in BIMeye, they can build up their information bank. And when they have that bank, there are, I mean, when it's finished, that bank, and they want to send it to the production site will use that information. So they will export the information from BIMeye and send it to the construction site. And then in the construction site, they will put all of that information into the machines that is going to drill down the piles. And the machines must have the coordination of the piles, the X, Y, and depth, and the orientation of the piles, so that the work goes correctly. And when that work is done, when they have drilled and installed all of the piles, they will feed BIMeye with the as-built data. So they will extract where the coordination, or how deep did the piles go in the X and Y and Z coordinations, and they will extract that information from the building site, and they will send it back to BIMeye again. So that's the as-built data. So, and when they have the as-built data in BIMeye, they can communicate with that information back to the model, can see the progress of the work. How did it go? Did it go correctly, the drilling? And also they can extract that to Naviswork and see the coordination of the work. How did it go? Was it good or not? Or if it's something that have to be changed, so they will do that process again. So BIMeye is basically the central placeholder for information, so you can delegate information for different causes in the building process. So as we go to the production phase, we will have a lot of information that we'll need, that we have built up. So the purchase, so calculation, and we'll have to have the door and room descriptions for the project, for the production phase, and also the logistic planning that involves delivery packages and destinations. Where does our objects go in the building? So we have to have these destinations to make the work more efficient. And still, this is all information that is handled in BIMeye. And I will say, last but not least, the facility management phase. So this phase, we have been working throughout all of these phases to get to the facility management. And here I would say all the effort that we have put on the information about all the information about the objects will end up in the facility management. But with BIMeye, you can choose to work in one phase only, or you can take advantage of the real capacity that BIMeye gives, and it's throughout the whole building process. And when you use that for the whole building process, you will see the benefits of that and how information is a living form, so it's not in dead documents no more. This slide is basically the building lifecycle management that we have at Symmetry, and how we connect the different processes with each other. So we have in the left here, we have the I would say design tools, and we can connect the design tools to BIMeye, to our CDE database, and we can extract the information from that, and then we can start working with the information and send it to different causes. So we can send it to the production site, to extract the information that the production site or for the production, what they need. And also in the early phases, we can put in the requirements in BIMeye. And you see they are integrated with each other. The model and BIMeye, you can synchronize at the both ways. So you can extract information from the models, and you can always send information from BIMeye to the models. So I would say it's a very efficient way of working, as we all know that BIMeye, I mean BIM usually for me it's information handling. And in the production phase, when we work, I would say when we work in the design phase, we're gonna need a lot of reports for the production phase. So it can be room descriptions, it can be door reports. Let me take that. It can be door reports, it can be, as we see here, luminaires report, and as they are using this also in Slussen. Yeah, and I would say interior descriptions with destinations. So all kind of reports you can extract from BIMeye, and all of this, well, I would say is automatically. So if something changes in the process of that building, we can manage to get new reports, and the information will be updated. So I will go talk about the different apps we have. So when you purchase BIMeye, you get all of these apps. But today we're going to focus on the asset management app. So asset management is a cloud-based service. I would say BIMeye is a cloud-based service. So all these apps are similar to each other. So the user interface, you will notice, and I will show you shortly how the user interface is. And it's similar to each other. So I will take this for an example. So we start a new project, and we'll have a model, and the green here, or the computer here, it defines the model. And let's say in this project we have 30 parameters. When we start with BIMeye, we will start with the parameter configuration, and that means that we will set up all of the parameters we have in this project. And let's say 10 of these 30 parameters will come from the model. So we will extract those 10 parameters, their values, to BIMeye. So this green color indicates information that comes from the model. So it could be geographical or geometrical information. And what that basically means is geographical means that this object, let's say if it's a duct, so this duct, where does it belong, in what room does this duct belong, and what is the weight and height and depth of this duct, and also our object or the literal ID that we will extract. So this is only an example, and then we will have 10 more parameters that we will set up in BIMeye, and these 10 parameters will be added in BIMeye. So the orange color of this picture indicates the information that you're going to add in BIMeye. So you're going to add information. So there could be, for this example, so what's the manufacturer, what's the color, and how should this object be assembled? And you can always connect different pictures or PDFs to the objects, as you see in this picture. So, and then we have a lot of consultants, external consultants, that are gonna be invited to the project. And this is very important to notice, that not all the people are having or working in maybe ArchiCAD or Revit, but still they have to add a lot of information to the project. And usually in the traditional way that we do that, we send a lot of documents to each other to fulfill that cause. And along this way, I would say you don't know what documents maybe is the right one, or maybe have been revisioned in some cases. So by having this process, you will always know that in the database the information is always correct and always up to date. So we will invite different consultants, and let's say we had, as I said before, we had 30 parameters. So 10 parameters came from the model, 10 we were adding in BIMeye, and we have 10 more that we're going to have for the consultants to add. And by role and rights, we can coordinate who's going to fulfill which parameter or which information. So not all of the people that are involved in a project have the rights to edit a parameter. So we can coordinate that with the roles and rights. So that's what you see in the middle of this picture. So we can lock different parameters and say that no, this is only for the architect, for example, to edit, or some other consultants. So for the external consultant, they will add their information, but they can always view the other information that is in the database. So they will add their information to the database, and it can be a lot. I mean, it could be whatever information, but when we are talking about assets, so I'm taking luminaires as an example. So it can be the description, it could be how it should be assembled, or what kind of type of luminaires that it is. And when that work is done, you can extract all of the information in the database to different reports. And these reports, they are built up in Word. So it's a Word layout. So everything that Word can handle, you can manage to do that with the layout. So how this report looks, it's up to you. So whatever Word can do, we can range that in these reports. But the main key here is that if something changes in the process, you will update BIMeye, and then you will write out a new report, and the report will be updated. You should never physically go into a report and add information. So all of the information is added in BIMeye. So that's also from the traditional way to do. You will go into the documents and you will add information, and you will change information in the documents itself. But in BIMeye, you don't need to do that. And we have also the support to extract information from BIMeye. So as we know, Excel is a powerful format, CVS, and they are used a lot in the construction companies. And we have also that support to export and import information to Excel and to use it for different causes, maybe for calculation or purchasing, or it could be whatever cause that you want to use that information to. And as I explained in Slusen, so they will extract the information and feed the machines with this information so the machines can do their job correctly. So that's one way they are using it in right now. And this is again the reports that I showed you before, that we have the capacity to get all of kind of reports. And I would say in the end, or in the middle of the project, if you decide that you want to have maybe of those 30 parameters, you want to have 15 of them back to the model to update the model with that information. So you can always send back information to the model for different causes, maybe to just have that in your model, or other causes, maybe if you want to communicate throughout IFC, maybe to see it in Navisworks or Solibri, well, that's possible too, that send back information to the model. And BIMeye can always create parameters in the model too. So that's a feature that we have that is very useful. So you don't need to create the parameters in the model. And I will show you a little bit of that shortly. And then we have the change logs. So this is basically a way of managing the information between two timestamps. What have been changed between two timestamps. So what you make is you make one timestamp at the beginning of your work, and then you start working, adding information. And when you are done with that, you take another timestamp, and then you can extract a revision log, or I would say a change log. So you can track what have been changed in the project, what's new. So you can always, you can use this for controlling yourself, and also to see what's been happening in the project between these two timestamps. So that's the presentation. Let's go hands-on to BIMeye. So as I said, you need a web browser. Google Chrome or Microsoft Edge is what we recommend you guys to use. And you will get your credential from us. So we will give you your credentials and we will connect your credentials to a project that we're going to invite you to. So I have an example project now that I'm going to show you about the asset management and how you can handle the installations in asset management. So apps.bimeye.com, and you will come to this page. You will log in with your credentials and you will choose the project that you have been invited to. This is the first page when you log on to BIMeye. A little information about the project, so about the company. So you can always add information here, and you can manage that from this. Let me change to English. It will be easier for all of you to follow. You can always choose to change the language here, and you can always set a language as a default. If you press on this name, you can go and set the language as English, so it will always be English. So when you have logged in, usually you will have to download a client, and those that download this client, this plugin, is usually those that are working with the model. So they will go to download, and then we'll choose the software they are using and download the design tool they are using. And then they will install a client, and that will take approximately, I would say, 5 seconds to install. And when you have installed the plugin, when you open Revit, you will see that you have this add-in here. I will come to that. So the first thing you're going to do, you want to connect that, connect the model to the right database. So this is the important thing here that I want to show you guys, because this is the first step that you do when you want to connect the model to the database. So you download the client, and then you will need this GUID. And this GUID is basically a global unique ID that's going to connect the model to the right database. So you will copy that GUID, you will go to your model, and you will sign in. You will write your credentials here, and then you will paste the project GUID here, and then you will give this model a name. And then you are successfully logged onto BIMeye. I will come back to that later. Down here, you will see the app that we have activated. So it's the Asset Manager that we're going to talk about today. I said before that all the apps are similar to each other, and I'm going to show you the differences real quick so you understand the differences between the different apps. But here you have information about the different models that you have been connected to this database. So you see down here, I have 3 models. So it's a ventilation, and it's the architect's model, and it's also the it's another model that we have connected here to this database. But you will see the active objects you have with each model, and when the last synchronize was made. And you can also, when you connect to these piles, you can see who made the last synchronize. Here you will press, and you will see the app that you have been that's activated. Usually all the apps, when you purchase BIMeye, you get all apps, and all the apps are activated. So you will see all the asset, door, requirement, room, interior apps, but they all look similar. So the differences between these apps are, when you go to the Asset Manager, let me just close this. So this is the first page on the Asset Manager. As I said, they all look the same. The user interface is the same for the door and for the asset manager, and also the interior. So the only that a little bit different is the room and the requirement apps. So what makes these assets different from the door app? I would say it's the categories that are the differences here. Because as you know, in Revit, when you create a parameter, you have to define what kind of object should this parameter belong to. And is exactly the same way you do in BIMeye. So when we go to categories here, you will see that we have under name, we have a lot of objects. And I would say, or it is like this: 1 means in use, 0 means not in use. So if I press 1 here and search for all the ones in this project, so you will see that I have been activated air terminals, caseworks, and all kind of objects are activated in Asset Manager. And usually by default, we have a lot of installation objects that are activated in Asset Manager. I mean, if you compare that to Door Manager, it's only the door object that is activated, but you can activate all the objects in the apps. So it's up to you what kind of objects you want to activate. And I said before that when you start the BIMeye, you will go through the parameter configuration. I want to show you that because it's very important for everybody to know that what is a parameter configuration. And I'm going to show you that a little quick on how that works. So when you go to the tab parameters, and it's important to notice that this asset manager admin, not everybody sees that. So you have to have the right role in the project to be the administrator of the project. So if you're a ordinary user only, you will only see these tabs up here. But when you press on the parameters, you will see all of the parameters that we have set up in this project that is necessary for this project. And if I press on the name, I will filter it out. So A first and ascending. And you will see here all the different parameters that we have. Under name is what the parameters is called in BIMeye. And if a parameter are going to extract the information from the model, you will see here name and model. So you will write the name of that parameter in this area here. As you see here, so width, we have it will take the it will extract the information from the model, and the parameter in the model is called width or breadth, then that's in Swedish then. And then we will define how is this going to be synchronized, this parameter. Yes, we want to synchronize it to BIMeye, so from model to BIMeye, or you want to send it back maybe from BIMeye to the model. So every parameter configuration you handle here. So that's basically what we do in the start of the project. So we have a lot of parameters as you see here. And so for example, comments, yeah, we want to add information in BIMeye and send it back to the model, synchronize from BIMeye. That means from BIMeye to model. So if you want to arrange anything with the parameters, you do it on this tab parameters. And I said before that you can handle the roles and right, who can change what parameter or not. And this is also an important thing to know before I go to the third step of showing you guys how that integration works. So in the parameter group, you can add a group, and in these groups, you can add different parameters. So for example, in the production, I have 2 parameters: manufacture, procured, and assemble. So when you create a parameter group, you can add different parameters in that group. This is for organizing the database. So you have it organized, because otherwise all of the parameters will be underneath each other, and that can I mean, it causes confusion for many users. So by editing, by creating these parameter groups, you can make it more efficient and make it more organized for all the users. And then with these groups, you can decide who have the permission to edit this group or these parameters. So under permission, you see we will have different roles. So this is usually the administrator in the project that makes all of this. So I just wanted to show you this so you all know about what I'm talking about roles and rights and about the parameter configuration. So let's go to the instances. So this is the first page. The first thing you need to do, well, you need to connect the model to the database, and that we have made already. So I went to sign in and I connected this model to the right database and I logged on. And the next step will be that you're going to synchronize the objects. So what objects is going to be synchronized? You will decide that, as I said, under the categories. So I have already synchronized this model once, but we can if I do it again, it will take a little bit of time, but we can do it. It will take a few seconds. So I will just synchronize this model up to the database. And the only thing you need to do actually is pressing start, because we have in these tabs here, it said you want to download from BIMeye or upload, where we have already done this configuration in BIMeye, how the information should be synchronized. So you don't need to think about anything else and then pressing start. And maybe it wasn't a good idea for me to start this synchronize, but it will go fast. To show you this, so it's 1,425 objects that are being synchronized to BIMeye now. And those objects we have decided in the categories what objects are going to be synchronized. So in this case, it's duct fittings, air terminals, a lot of objects that we use in the asset manager. So the asset manager is for installations, and you can always handle a lot of different objects too in the asset manager, but mainly it's used for installations. So now you see the categories that it's reading from. And while we have different apps, I mean, for door, why don't we use one app? Well, that's because you want to organize. I mean, door separated for itself, room separated for itself. So in this case, it will be organized and all information is still in one place. So I will close, and you have a little bit summary about how everything were synchronized. You can see what didn't synchronize, where maybe this parameter wasn't set correctly. So you can always follow up and see what happens and how many objects for different categories were uploaded from to BIMeye. We will close this, and I will go back to BIMeye, and I want to just show you the information tab again to see that down here you will see that it have been updated for the correct date and time and who made the full sync. And you can always see this was a full sync, and that means that no objects were marked before we synced. If you mark an object and sync, it would be a partial sync, and that means that only that object that is marked is going to be synced up. But we recommend always that you make a full sync, so you have always a fully updated database. So we'll go back to the asset manager, and now you want to choose that model that you have been connected to BIMeye. So we go or to asset manager in this case. So we go to select models and levels, and you will choose. So you see I have 3 models connected to this to asset manager. So I will choose the right model. So you can choose the whole model with all the levels, or you can choose to only show maybe objects on level 2 or objects on level 1. But BIMeye is much more smarter than this, so I would recommend for you guys to choose all of the levels, and then we can filter out for the different levels. And I will show you 3 ways to make the working process more quickly to work with the levels and searching out different information that you are looking for. So we will choose the whole model, and I will say save. And immediately we will see information that have been synchronized from the model to BIMeye. And these different columns that you see here, all of these are the parameters that we have set up in the project. And the next step be for a user to make their own view list. So what parameters do you want to see on this page? So you can decide that, you can arrange the different ways that you want to show these parameters. So when I go to this tab, the next tab, I will press that and I will create my own view list. So, many different, you can have one view list or you can have 10 view lists. It's up to you. But when you create one view list, if you hover over every of these buttons, you will see what the buttons do. So the plus usually are add new. So we will add one, and I have already made one, but I can make another one, and I will say save. And you see down here, we have all the parameters in the project. So I can choose, I want to maybe show, let's say, for example, we can say category name, description, maybe level is important, assembled. And you can choose all of the parameters you want to see. And you can always, when you press start or save, you see, it will be updated with those parameters. And the information on those will come under beneath. So all of the rows here is one object in BIMeye. If you want to arrange the parameters in different way, you can press and hold, and you can drag and drop. So I will drag and drop. So I want type mark to come on this place instead. So I will save that and it will be updated. So that's a easy way to make your own view lists. But I already made one. So I will go back to my support and save that. As I said, you can search out for different things. So if I search here for plan 01, so it will collect and it will make that selection. So all of the objects that are on level 1, you will show them here. So this is a quick way to searching out the selection that you need. And the other way to do that is by grouping on a parameter. So if I group on level, if I press on these 4 squares that are beside the name, if I press on that, I will group on level. So you will see how many objects I have on the different levels. Well, I have 3 levels, and one of them I haven't defined the level yet. So that's a model mistake, I would say. But you can always, and this is good too, you can quality assure the project. You can see that, oh, this is wrong. I have to define that in the model, the level, because the level comes from the model. So, but you can see here on level 1, we have 819 objects, and level 2, we have 601. These orange marks indicates different values. So, and I will come to that a little bit later. So this is a quick way to do to group. So if I group on category name instead, I will see I have 595 ducts in this database, and the duct fittings and how many there are in this project. And you can always group, and then you can search. Also, if I search for ducts, well, it will get all of the duct that have this duct name in it. And there are specific syntax that you can use to define exactly what you are looking for. And then you can see all that different syntax that in our help we have, the documentation. But I can show you, I will show you quickly here. If I write like this, the syntax, ducts, let me see. So it means I want to have the category name that involves only ducts. So if I erase that one, the other one will show if I write it again, as you see here. So this is a quick way to making your selection. And when you have made your selection, you maybe want to add information on that selection. And this is the way it makes it more efficient to work, because you want to make a selection and grab maybe 10 objects or 20 objects at the same time, and you want to add a value to all of them 20 objects at the same time. And that makes the work more efficient instead of working with one instance at a time. So if I grab all of these mechanical equipment, so if I want to add a value to these, if I press on that, I will come to the I would say to the board where you can add information. You see the different groups that I was talking about. So the groups are arranged under the parameter groups. So I have made one group. I took the production as an example, and I have made one group, and in the group I have two parameters. So you can arrange all of your groups in the way you want, or in the way that it makes more efficient for all the consultants that are involved in this project to know, okay, this is my group, production is my group, so and he will only have the right to edit this group. So that's a way to handling the different roles and rights. And you can see it all in the instance parameter tab, and also you can see it in the type parameter tab. So and this the difference between Revit and Archicad. In Revit, usually all objects are instances, whilst in Revit, we work with instance and type parameters. So if I go to instance parameters and I will say I have four mechanical equipments selected, I can add information on all these four at one time. You will see also the different values. You see it said different values, and I showed you before the orange tab. What that means, it meant different values. So if I press that, you will see the different values on these four. So we have nay and ja is the different values on these four. But if I want to add the information on these four selected, I will press the plus button again. So it's add new value. So we can add, say, support for that case, and we'll save that. So that's support, and I will submit and cancel. So I want to see that information now. So you see up here, as I said, there are a lot of parameters, the columns, but I don't have that parameter that I set a value on right now. So I want to bring up that parameter. So I go on the support in my view list, and I search for that parameter. You can use Control F, that is Google Chrome's search function, and you can say let me see where that was. There it was. So if I press that and save, you will see that all the four, I can move that parameter a little bit more higher up. I will put it a bit underneath level. So you will see it will show up here. So we have groups on category name. It's four objects, and all of the four have a value support. Now let's go back to Revit. So here is an interesting thing I want to show you. You can work with different filters in Revit to manage it, and these filters that you create in Revit, you can easily do that if you have the Navigate add-in. And if you don't have that, I will highly recommend you guys to order that, because it's a truly easy and good plugin to have besides BIMeye. So you will create your filters, and you will say that these filters is going to look on a parameter. So for example, I've made it here. So you will see the blue. If I press VV and I go into the filter tab, so you will see all of the product, the objects that are assembled, that have the value yes, they should be green, and those that have the value no should have the blue color. And that is made by the filters. So if I press on the green one, if I press on a green object, I will see under assembled, it's yes. And yes indicated the green color. So if we go to BIMeye and for example, I have this parameter here that are synchronized to Revit assembled. So if I group on that, I can see how many have yes and no. So if I say all of these that are on yes, they should have no. They are not assembled yet. This is just an example for you guys. So if I go to productions and I say all of these 404 that I have been making selection to, I will give them a value no. And when you add a value, it will always be saved so you can choose it again. So I would say no and I will submit that. It's a lot of objects. So now it's done. So I will take cancel. And then you can easily see that all of the objects are no now because we have grouped it on this parameter. So if I ungroup it, you see all of the parameters are no. So if I go to Revit now and I synchronize, it will take a little bit of time, but I can, in the meanwhile, maybe show you guys. And in the different tabs here, you can connect the model as a 3D object to BIMeye. You can see all of your type parameters if you work with Revit. You have your revision archive, so you can make the timestamps that I talked about before. And the timestamp, you have the tab here. So if you just press the timestamp, you will make a copy of all the information that is in the process or in BIMeye, and then you can work, and then you will make another timestamp, and then you can follow the timestamps in the revision archive. We have the report archive. When you created a report, you will find it on the report archive, and then you can always attach images or PDFs to the different objects. So you add your images and PDFs under this tab, and then you will connect it to the different objects. And I will show you shortly. As you see, all of the color changed. So this is a good way to work. You can follow up. So what's been happening on the project. So you can always make these filters in Revit and then connect them with BIMeye. So when you add the information on BIMeye, so if I press on an object now, this one was green before, now it's no, because this is connected with BIMeye. So this is a very efficient way to visualize work and always if you want to delegate this visualization to other people, it's also possible when it's connected to BIMeye. So that's the thing. So the most important thing here you will take with you is that the asset manager look at the categories. What kind of categories do you want to activate? Because when I go to Revit, if I press on an object, you will see what category it belongs. So if I say that no, I don't want to use ducts. So if I put ducts, if I search for ducts here, ducts, you see it's in use. So if I press that and say not in use, it will not be synchronized to BIMeye. So this is the way to handling the different objects in Asset Manager. I will have approximately 10 minutes for any questions. If you want me to show anything special future, I will be glad to show you.